Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. And I was just looking at the date and thinking yesterday was Christmas. And here we are, already almost through the first month of this new year. Hope everything's going well for you. If you will, take your Bible, if you're able, if you'd like to follow along, we'll be in the 26th chapter of Proverbs today and working our way towards the end of the book. And this next section again, one of the popular common themes in the book of Proverbs is managing our relationships. And when you think about it, that's what life is. We have, family, all kinds of relationships that are part of our life. And then, primarily and most important, is our relationship with God. And wisdom comes into play in all of those relationships. And so we're going to look this morning. We're going to go through 12 verses, so we're going to have to move kind of quickly. And in this section, in this chapter, really, what we do is we learn from the negative. Instead of having examples of how to do it right, we have some examples of those who are living unwisely and wickedly, and learn from them. And we have comparisons here that was a common means of teaching in that time period. They'd give an example. For example, this verse is as snow in summer and as rain in the harvest. So the question is, what is like snow in the summer and rain at harvest? And so we look for the answer there. And what we're going to see here in these verses are the ways, the lifestyle, the decisions of a foolish man. And so the first thing we see again is this illustration, this question: what's like snow in the summer and as rain in the harvest? So honor is not seemly for a fool. Snow in the summer doesn't belong. Rain at the harvest doesn't belong. And those things would be abnormal if we had snow in the summer, and also it may rain in the fall at harvest time, but again, in that time, in that area, rain in the fall was very rare. Harvest was extremely dry time. And so a fool with honor is as rare as snow in July. And they don't have honor. And you don't elevate, you don't put a fool in a place of honor. I've many years ago in the working world, I have seen people be elevated into management supervisor positions who were foolish, and it always ended up being a disaster. And so, elevating a foolish man to a position of honor is as abnormal as snow in July. As the bird by wandering, as the swallow by flying, so the curse causeless shall not come. Another comparison, another match here. The human curses, we don't really do much of that now, but superstitious beliefs is wise people ignore them. And what he's talking about here, he says these birds that are flopping around, never really landing anywhere. He says that's the way superstitions and curses are. There's no real, they never really land. Is the simple way of saying that. Verse 3, a whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. Fools, he says, are like animals that have to be controlled. They're stubborn. They won't listen even when they're corrected. And so, just like a horse or a donkey has to be restrained, you have to you have to restrain a foolish man. You have to keep them in check, or they will do damage. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. These two proverbs tell us there's a time to answer a foolish man. There's a time not to. There's a right way to answer a foolish man and a wrong way. And wise people know that sometimes the best thing you can do is just ignore a foolish man. Before you answer a foolish man and get tangled up in his silliness, his ignorance. You think about it. Am I going to make any headway? Am I going to get anywhere? Am I just going to end up tangled up in their mess? Other times, it may be that you just have to step in and answer them. Verse 5. Sometimes you have to, you do have to answer them. You can't just let the foolish man just run amok. You have to put him in check. And so the wise man knows the difference. Verse 6, he that sendeth a message by the hand of the fool cutteth off the feet and drinketh damage. I don't know how to comment on that. It says what it means, what it says what it means. If you trust a foolish man to deliver your message, you're about as foolish as he is. The legs of the lame are not equal, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. Again, we've been looking now at 26 chapters of wisdom. This verse says that wisdom in a fool's hands, and this is probably considered politically incorrect in our society. He says, wisdom in a fool's hands are as useless as legs to a paralyzed man. No use in trying to teach a foolish man wisdom. They'll just waste them. They'll just they'll do nothing with them. As he that bindeth a stone in a sling, so is he that giveth honor to a fool. Again, what we see from the beginning, no use you don't tie a stone in a sling. If you did, you can't throw the stone. And so giving a fool wisdom or giving a fool an honorable position, much like the first verse is foolish, as tying your stone in the sling. As a thorn goeth up into the hand of a drunkard, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. Again, the same principle we've seen. Don't take advice from a foolish man. Don't take advice from the foolish man. The great God that formed all things both rewardeth the fool and rewardeth the transgressor. God will judge. God will deal with the wicked man, deal with the foolish man in just time. Seest thou a man wise as a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. Probably one of the more familiar proverbs in the Bible. But a foolish man doesn't learn. He goes right back and repeats the same mistake and the same errors. Seest thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than him. A fool, as bad as this passage is describing a fool, He says, a proud man is even worse. A fool is more likely to change than a proud man. Interesting way to end that section. And what I think we need to do with these 12 verses then is to study them, to know these things so that we can recognize when we are dealing with a foolish person and know how to deal with them and know when not to deal with them. And then the second thing that we need to learn, or maybe it's the first thing, is learn these things so that we're not guilty of them. And again, just a summary of the life and ways of a foolish man for our instruction. All right, you have a good day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow where we talk about the lazy man. All right, see you then.